ask you another one. Trans children deserve gender affirming therapy. I highly, highly, highly disagree with that
Okay.
because I believe that trans children is an oxymoron.
So you think that a trans person cannot be a child?
Yeah, I don't think trans children exist. I think, like,
Think they don't
no.
exist?
Yeah.
Have you ever noticed that there's like some sex typical behavior as children?
Yeah, but that's not always necessarily mean anything. I mean, I
Yeah,
play
well,
with
like
Barbies with
take
my
for example,
sister, and I
like
mean,
you've noticed that like girls tend to like play tea and dress up and play with Barbies. They also avoid like physical contact with one another, whereas boys tend to do like a rough and tumble type play. There's also the fact that like females tend to hang out with other females and males tend to hang out with other males. Have you noticed that?
well, yeah, but I mean, I also played Barbies with my sister too
Oh
when
boy,
I was little.
oh boy.
So I mean, but look at me now.
So you would say that there's sex typical behavior, right?
Playing with Barbies as a male?
Well, I labeled more than that, but yeah.
Well, yeah, to an extent, but I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean like,
Okay.
oh,
So if there
chop their
exists
thing off.
sex, we're nowhere close to that. Nowhere close to that. So if there exists sex typical behavior, and do you think it's possible that somebody could exhibit opposite traits of sex typical behavior, such as a boy that tends to hang out with girls a lot and does not prefer the rough and tumble play? Do you think that's possible?
Yeah, I mean, it could be personality difference, or I mean, I don't think
Yeah, like
everybody
there's
should just jump to
tomboys,
the. I don't think
like for
anybody should just
girls.
jump to
There's
the
like the little fruity
conclusion.
boys that you met, like in elementary school. You ever notice that?
Yeah, sometimes they grow out of it though, or
Sure.
a majority of them grow out of it.
Some of
It's
them
just a
do, some of them
phase.
don't.
Well, that's why I say when they turn 18, they can, decide to get that care for themselves. And I'm a proponent for just leave the children alone, let them be children, let them make mistakes, let them, do what they do, let them learn.
Yeah, I'm in generally agreement. So, do you think that let's say for example that a psychologist, a doctor, and a parent all together agree that a child has gender dysphoria, like they're going through puberty, they clearly have gender dysphoria.
No, I can't agree with that.
You don't think that's possible?
No, too young
Okay,
because
so
their brain is
well, they're
brain is
going
still
through puberty,
developing.
right? And so if they are gender dysphoric, they would notice their body changing in a way that they don't like. This causes a person to possess suicidal tendencies
Well, I mean, you could say that
at
of
an
anybody. A
adolescent
lot of people
stage.
don't. But a lot of people, some people don't like the changes that their bodies go through. That's why you get people with anorexia and fucking,
Yeah, I mean,
you know,
it depends. That's what I'm saying. It depends on the situation, right? You're saying that it doesn't exist. I'm saying it does exist. And now that you're saying it depends, you know it exists.
well, I'm just saying, until they're 18, just see if they grow out of it or not. But when they're 18,
I
let them make that
agree.
decision for
That's why
themselves.
you give them hormone blockers should there be a medical necessity to do so to reduce suicidal ideation. And then when they turn 18, they can then decide if they want to chop their dick off, like what you said. You know, when they're like a consenting adult.
Yeah, but even then, like some of that, I mean, like, we don't know yet for sure, but I mean, there could be irreversible damage possible. So I just don't think we should be going there with children like that.
Well, okay, I agree. There could, for example, be bone density loss. That's true. There's also fertility loss that's confirmed, right? That can sometimes happen. Doesn't happen all the time, but it does sometimes happen. For the bone density loss, that's actually fixed with just a simple calcium vitamin. And for the other one, that's basically just like a risk that needs to be mitigated and observed by a medical professional because it differs depending on the person. I guess like my problem is that I'm saying that this should happen at a medical level between like a healthcare professional, a psychologist, and the parent to make these decisions. And you're saying that it should be up to a politician to just say no.
Well, no, no, I'm not saying it should be up to a politician. I'm coming from the standpoint of it's just let a child be a child.
I agree. But what if that child has gender dysphoria?
Well, when they turn 18, they can go do all the crazy shit they want to fucking do.
Again,
Until
a
you're
hormone
18,
blocker
sorry,
is
buddy.
not hormone replacement therapy, nor is it chopping your dick off.
I can't be for it. Like I said, children are gonna be children. They
Do you,
do all kinds of
do
weird,
you
funny shit.
acknowledge that hormone replacement therapy and hormone blockers are two completely fundamentally different things?
Yes,
Okay.
but they still can have detrimental effects on the body.
I agree. That's why I think it should be up to a professional, not a politician, to make that decision.
I mean, yeah, nothing should be left up to politicians. As little as possible should be left up to politicians, in my opinion.
Right? They're pretty dumb, aren't they?
Well, yeah, they're humans like all of us. We're all
Yeah.
fucking dumb.
Well, if we look at, I mean, like, do you think a medical professional is dumb? I think they're a lot less dumb than a politician. Don't you think?
With this whole, I think this is this can be like a slippery slope type of situation. Like, you might have people like trying to like, oh, we can make a shit ton of money off of this. Like, if they were to, like, this was to go, full
Yeah, I
blown
mean,
like that.
if that was the case, that would then show rooted in the science. And currently, from the main associations regarding the scientific basis, the current trans care for trans youth is just simply gender affirming care, not chopping their dick off, not chopping their breast off. However, there are some situations where a girl will have ridiculously large breasts, and so then they go through a breast reduction surgery. But this is not the same case as like somebody who is trans. What they end up actually doing is they just give them hormone blockers. And so when they're 18, they can come to the decision as to whether or not they get off of the hormone blockers and then go through puberty at a later age, or whether or not that they just, they actually go through with their transition, which is where I stand with it.
Yeah, I gotta disagree with that. I think just wait till they're 18, let them go with the hormone blockers, and then because you're still going through puberty even when you're at the age of 18.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, this is
I
the
mean-
first time I've ever had a conversation with you where you're not trolling me.
Dude, you know me, Amender. You know how I am. You know I can be serious. You know I can troll. You know I can tell the truth. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not a
I'm
total
just saying,
troll.
it's the first time. It's kind of refreshing. I wish you would do it more.
Well, it's just certain. It's just there's certain topic. It depends on the topic, because there's some topics I consider so outrageous I can't do nothing but just troll, because I'm like, really, this is a discussion? Like, we're discussing this?
Well,
Like,
I mean, but we can base this off of the current medical science, right? Like, what does the Mayo Clinic say to do when a child has gender dysphoria? Like, you realize like that there are children who possess congenital adrenal hyperplasia, where they can literally have something different in their brain than what is there in their external genitalia. These are known things that happen to children, and so as a
Right, but I'm
result, they
saying
end
they
up going
can-
through some pretty severe gender dysphoria.
I just feel like I said, when they're children, I feel like sometimes we never know if it's gonna be a phase or not.
I
I'm all for
agree. That's why you
adults
need to
being- I'm
involve
all-
a medical health professional, psychologist, and the parent to make that decision. I
I'm
don't think
all-
it should
I'm
be
all-
left up to
I'm
the
all-
child to make that decision.
Right. I'm all for adult. Well, I don't even think parents should be making this decision for their children either. I just feel like,
Well, I think if a medical doctor and the psychologist disagree, but the parent agrees, then like it would just be like, yeah, you can't get this treatment. Like that's where I'm at. Like, I think there should be checks and balances, because I agree. It could be a fad. Sure. Yeah. I mean, if that's the case, then, obviously like it should have a sniff test, and this is my sniff test.
yeah, I don't know. Like I said, when they're adults, do what you want to do. You know what I mean? But children just
Hormone
let 'em
blockers,
be
that's what
children.
I'm saying. Hormone blockers
I
at
don't feel
youth, and then when they become an adult, they can make the decision, the lifelong decision that alters their life forever. The hormone blocker doesn't alter their life forever. They can live a perfectly normal life, even after having hormone blockers up till 18. In fact, you can do the very same thing that hormone blockers do, which is subdue your puberty by just having a low enough body fat content. It turns out that you have like Olympic people who have like ridiculously low body fat content, and you have females who end up going up until 18 years old without getting puberty. But then as soon as they stop their like hyper competitive athletics, they then put on a little bit of weight, and then as soon as they put on a tiny bit of weight, they go through puberty. And then after the puberty, there they are, 21, woman. They look like a woman. You look at them, they're a woman.
I know exactly what you're talking about. Yeah, we learned about that in health class. No, like I said, I'm just all, like I said, when it comes to children, man, it's you gotta be very delicate here. Very, very, very delicate.
Gotcha. Did you have anything else that you wanted to discuss?
Yeah, let me look at this list again.
Sure.
Let's see. We all know where this one's gonna go.
Whoa, which one?
Number 17.
Oh boy, you'd still agree with this one?
I don't agree with it. I disagree.
So number 17 is spanking is child abuse.
Yes.
It is child abuse.
I disagree.
Every single study shows me it's child abuse. There's a mount of evidence. There's no longer, you cannot have a rational side at this point. But I'm willing to hear you out.
I just feel like if you're gonna say the words like when it comes to like, I mean, how are we defining abuse here? Not with the studies, but I'm just saying, what do you define abuse as?
Like without me pulling up like the colloquial definition, probably be something like harm, either physical or mental, that has long-lasting effects.
Okay, so do you
negative effects?
Do you believe that 100% of the time that these
you can just stop right there? The answer is
no.
no. I don't think anything's 100%.
Okay, well then that's my point. Is that like I just feel like it depends. It depends. It's a spectrum almost, if you will.
So let me ask you this: if it was like 80%, like it has negative outcomes, and 20% it has no negative outcomes, would you be okay with rolling that dice?
Yeah.
Cool. You'd be okay with rolling that dice on your child?
Yeah, because I mean, I was spanked as a child. I mean, I'm not abusive. I don't even like to fight people. I'm a pacifist. I don't believe in violence. I don't believe in, but I also believe in, sometimes you need a good licking, pause. There's just certain things that a child, I feel like every child responds differently to different forms of discipline. Like my son, he's the type where, like for instance, I know this is anecdotal evidence, but anecdotal evidence is still technically evidence. With my son, there are certain things that, well, he's 12 now, so obviously I don't spank him now. But when he was younger, there are certain things I could sit down and have a conversation with him, and he would understand. There are other things where a conversation would not get through to him, but the physical, he would understand.
Let me ask you this. Let's say that there was like a playground ride at the playground. And on this playground ride, there's an 80% probability that your child will get hurt on this ride. 80% chance. Like as soon as they get on that ride, it's an 80% guaranteed, right? And then there's like another ride that has like, I don't know, like a 5%. Like, would you want your kid to go on that ride that has an 80% chance of hurting your kid?
I mean, I would have to see it. I would have to see this ride.
Oh, well, it's like a merry-go-round with some spikes around
it,
or like poison ivy on it. Like, yeah, I mean, you could get on it if you're like careful enough, but like 80% chance your kid's getting hurt.
But that's putting my child in like physical harm's way, like on purpose. Like, and I just feel like that's an apples and oranges comparison right there.
Do you see my camera?
Your camera?
Yeah, do you see my stream?
No, I mean, it's really small. I'm on my phone. And I'm making peanut butters and jellies at work.
All right, hold on. I need you to repeat that.
Apples and oranges?
No. You talked about how that would be putting my kid in harm's way.
Yeah, but like...
So you wouldn't do it, right?
I might have to supervise it heavily.
You wouldn't just have them go on a more safe ride?
No, this means, sometimes danger can be fun,
80% chance?
Is he gonna die?
No, they're just going to get hurt.
Kids get hurt all the time, man. He's gonna hurt himself, so I mean,
Yeah, but you don't do it on purpose.
I
You
mean,
mitigate that. You don't
he's
I
just
mean, like, obviously you don't put them in a bubble, but like you mitigate their harm. Like what? All right, how about this? More realistic.
yeah. Give me a
Would
different
you
comparison. 'Cause this one,
like let's say you have a
some kids might find
two-story
that
you
shit
have a
fun.
two-story house and you have a toddler. Do you think that you should get some toddler fences for the stairs?
Well, yeah, that's common sense.
Why?
Because the kid could go tumbling down the fucking stairs.
It's a 30% chance that they could get injured.
But that would be child neglect.
So why is spanking not?
Because you're not neglecting a child when you spank them.
You're hurting the child.
Are they being hurt though?
There are more. Yes, they are literally being hurt. You know that there are more effective ways to discipline your child that get the same results, if not better behavior out of your child than spanking does, and none of the negative effects. This is why I was comparing the unsafe ride versus the safe ride. Like, same amount of fun, but the only difference is that there's not poison ivy covered in this thing.
All right, so let me give you an example here, Mender. So let's say here, so we'll talk about something that's actually happened. My son is misbehaving at school. He comes home. I talk to him about it. This is the way you should be behaving because, yada, 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 yada. He goes to school the next day, does the same shit again.
Yep.
Talk to him again.
What did he do? Can I just ask? What did he do?
Fight, let's say,
Fighting?
throwing stuff or talking out it, throwing things, fighting, just
Okay,
being
yeah,
disruptive.
yeah. All right. I'm following.
And so, okay, so he keeps doing, does the same shit again. So now I say, all
What are the things you
this is
told him?
what are the things that I told
Yeah,
him?
you told him 3 things.
No, I said I've told him 3 times.
Yeah, you
I'm saying this
told
is like
him
it's
3
a
times. Sorry, so 3
reoccurring
separate
issue.
times. So what did you tell him about fighting?
I told him, this is not the way you act. This is not the way a sane person acts.
Okay.
This is going to get you in trouble. This is the correct way to go about doing things. But then
Okay.
they get back in that environment and
Yep.
they do the same thing again.
Yep.
And so then and then you tell them, you do this again, you're coming home and getting a spanking.
Okay.
So he goes to school the next day, does the same thing. All right.
So the
gets
threat didn't do
spanking.
anything.
But after he got the spanking, he went to school the next day and didn't do it.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it is true that spanking causes more immediate compliance. That's true. But the problem
So that's what I'm
isn't
saying.
the
It's
immediate
more of a-
compliance. The problem is the immediate compliance combined with like abuse factors. The negative outcomes that are associated long term when you do these things.
But like I said, it's not always 100% guaranteed, though, that is going to
But
happen.
why would you roll the dice?
Because it's solving the issue.
Yeah, there
if
are
it
ways
if
to
it
get
works, it
immediate
works.
compliance without spanking your child.
But if it works, it works.
I
And if
understand that they get
like,
immediate compliance, but again, it is true that the ride is fun, but there's another ride that is just as fun and it is less dangerous.
Wait, hold on. Someone in the chat says take away their phone. Okay, for one, there is no phone. It doesn't exist.
I'll give you an example, okay? Do they like playing video games?
Yes, and I've done this before. Trust
Yeah,
me.
you
Trust me, man. I'm a
directly
parent. I'm a
Associate.
parent of a 12-year-old.
Stop. Pause. You directly associate the punishment with the action. That's really, really important. And having like a very consistent ground will allow them to be more compliant and without the abuse.
You keep saying the word abuse. It's gonna drive me nuts.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Can I ask you something? Can I ask you something?
I use the word. I'm not saying you're abusing your child. Let me try again. I'm saying like people who's. Okay, let me.
Can I just ask you a
I
question
will.
real
I
quick?
will remove the divisiveness of the term abuse if it bothers you. Okay.
Well, it doesn't bother me. It's just I don't think it's abuse. So when I hear it, I just
Got
like
it. Got it.
really, dude.
It's fine. I'll just
But
remove it.
can I ask you something real quick? Were
Sure.
you spanked as a child?
Yes.
Okay. Would you consider that it had negative effects on you?
I don't know. Hard to tell.
That's what I mean. You know what I mean?
Well,
Like
the
I don't
problem
think
is
it did
like
for you.
there's meta-analysis on this. There's giant papers that are able to empirically show that it has pretty substantial negative outcomes.
I mean, that's fine and all. I mean, like they can have those meta-analyses, but I feel like every child is different, case by case basis.
Well, I agree,
When it
but I'm
comes into
saying like
play with
you
this.
can get better outcomes by listening to parental educators who specialize in this field who say that there are more effective means. You get better compliance, and they actually end up behaving more in the long run. Well, I mean, why would you be against this?
Like I said, spanking has always been a last resort for me. So there
Okay.
are times where talking does work, and there are times where spankings work. I feel like it's just, that you use the right tool for the right job.
I'm saying that you can get the compliance that you want without harming the child. It is entirely possible. You do not need to spank. It is entirely a useless tool.
I mean, for me, it hasn't been useless.
Well, I mean, yes, you get the immediate compliance, but what I'm trying to tell you is that while you get immediate compliance, there are other tools that also give you immediate compliance and also don't result in the negative outcomes that are associated with spanking. Again, I'm showing you the ride that's safer and it's just as fun. It's like no, there are no negative effects. I'm basically giving you a buff in a game that has no negative effects, and you're saying, well, what about the same buff but it has a negative effect? And I'm like, no, you want to do the one with no negative effects.
I mean, I'll roll the dice then, I guess.
Okay, I'm saying you don't have to
that's-
roll a dice.
I know, but I'm willing to roll the dice. No, you don't.
All right,
You can't win if you don't play.
we'll just have to agree to disagree, I guess.
You know what I mean? You can't win if you don't play.
I guess so, but I mean, we'll have to agree to disagree, like I said.
I mean, I get what you're saying. Like, I like, okay, can you not at least understand that? Like, I'm not advocating spanking for every single offense.
No, I know that. But I'm saying that the only instance where like a physical violence would need to happen is if like, I don't know, they're like killing mom or something. like generally speaking, you would not need to harm a child to discipline them.
I don't think it's actually harming them though. I just feel like
Well, I know you don't, but I'm saying that there's many meta-analysis that show that it does cause harm, long-lasting harm,
Hey, but
all the
most
way
of
into
them-
adulthood.
most of them forget the shit. I said most of them
I don't.
forget.
I remember my spankings very well.
I mean, I remember getting them. I don't remember them like each specific instance.
All right.
And
Let
I
me-
don't have any like animosity towards like and my parents for it at all. That when you like, I feel like I probably had it coming.
Okay. So, the University of Texas in Austin researched over 150,000 children over a 50-year period, showing that spanking is linked to mental health problems, aggression, antisocial behavior, cognitive difficulties, low self-esteem, and substance abuse.
I mean, but you could also say that people that have never been spanked also are out here doing drugs, doing all kinds of bad things.
Well, here's another one, another infographic. There was a Harvard Medical School study regarding the developing brains of a child. A child receives 14.5% less gray matter in the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex from spanking. Same thing, and 19.1% less gray matter in the medial prefrontal cortex. 16.9% less gray matter in the right anterior cingulus gyrus. It literally makes you dumber.
I'm just looking at this chart with all these numbers and words on it, and that's literally all it is to me. I mean, like I said, my evidence here is going to be all anecdotal. I'm not going to bring up statistics. I'm not going to not going to argue against them because, like I said, to me, it's case by case basis. Every child is different. Every parent is different. Every situation is different.
My other concern is like, and I'm not saying this is you, right? But one concern that I get is that there's a lot of parents that they turn to spanking as an option. And then when they turn to spanking as an option, and if they misbehave again, the answer is often to hit harder. And it gets to the point where it's like, I'm not abusing my child, but you're really not aware that someone is abusing their child until like after the fact that they see a bruise on their child. It's like, well, is that abuse? Well, it's kind of a tiny bruise. I mean, is it really abusing the child?
Yes, bruise is abuse.
Well, I agree, but you understand that why like somebody might make an argument outside of that, right? They may say that like, oh crap, I didn't realize that I hurt my child that much.
Well, that's somebody who doesn't belong. That's somebody who.
But it happens. Parents are dumb. People do dumb things all the time.
Right.
And it's like this is just a lack of education. The point that I'm trying to make here is that like it happens. And it's like if we don't allow spanking as an option, then this is no longer an issue. You basically, the answer is no, you don't spank.
But my answer is sometimes I have to.
Okay.
Sometimes. Very, like, for instance, I can probably count on 3 hands the amount of times I've had to spank my child in his entire life. Like, it's not something that, like... And
I get that you're doing it rarely, but again, I'm just having a hard time... dealing with it because... I mean, there's just too much research that just shows it's a terrible idea. Like, there are better ways to parent your child. I'm not telling you like, hey, you're not allowed to spank your kid, but I am saying that like, that there's enough research for me to conclude that spanking is child abuse. It's just not a good idea.
Pogo is asking for an example of when to spank. When other things are not working.
No, there's just different parental techniques to do instead of spanking. There are better techniques that give you more immediate compliance and less abuse, less harm to the child.
I've done the taking away the video games. I've done taking away everything. I've literally.
Well, you have to associate. It's an association thing. The association and consistency is key. If you don't have consistency in the association, then it doesn't work.
But there's just some kids who sometimes they just don't give a shit. Like my
well, you gotta find something they do give a shit about, right? Like that's the thing. Like, and there's also like giving them the tools that they need in order to operate properly, right? Like you get the more immediate compliance. I mean, we can go over individual parenting styles of what parents argue for instead of spanking. I mean, if you're interested in that.
No, because I mean, like, I know there's like probably an infinite amount of parenting styles for sure out there. I mean, and also culture come into it, you know, and
all right.
I don't know, like I said, but we can. I mean, well, like I said, well, I don't want to use the words agree to disagree because I don't believe in that. I just say we just disagree. I'm at least, you know what I mean. I don't believe in agreeing to disagree. We just disagree, you know.
All right, so there's a bunch here.
Disagree.
I'll show them without trying to bore you. So there's like positive reinforcement where you just reinforce their good behavior with praise, privileges, or small rewards. Encourages children to repeat that good behavior as opposed to the bad behavior. There are the timeouts where giving a child a brief break from the situation or activity can help them calm down and reflect on their behavior. A lot of the times, I believe there's like a minute amount for this. Like I believe like the amount of the age they are is the amount of minutes that the timeout is, and you're supposed to like associate the behavior with the timeout, being like you have to like get down on their level and just be like, you are getting this timeout because you did blank XYZ, and I'll come back. And if they basically keep running out off of it, you basically just pick them up and put them back, right? And this is effective up to about 10 years old. There's logical consequences. You allow children to experience the natural or logical consequences of their actions, can help them learn responsibility and accountability for their actions. You can redirect their attention, as in you distract a child from an undesirable behavior by offering them a different activity or task. It can be effective. Like, for example, if like a child is like, I don't know, kicking and screaming, like you could just like put them in the grocery cart and then give them like a coloring book. Like they may immediately.
I never had to deal with that in the store. I was the lucky parent. My
there are some that do, some that don't. Again, it just depends on the child. But yes, sure. There's modeling behavior. You demonstrate appropriate behavior yourself. Is a very powerful way to teach children how to behave. So children often will model how you behave, and so what you want to do is you basically emulate the way that you want the child to behave. There's communication in the explanation. You talk to the children about their behavior, why it's unacceptable, how it affects others, and how it can help them understand and learn from their mistakes. You establish clear rules and boundaries. You set clear expectations and behavior, and enforcing consistent consequences can help the children understand what is expected of them. There are non-physical discipline techniques such as loss of privileges, extra chores, writing apology letters. These are all effective consequences for misbehavior. There is emotional coaching, where you can help children identify, understand their emotions, and teaching them healthy ways to express and manage those emotions that can prevent future behavioral issues. And then there is seeking support, where if you're struggling to manage your child's behavior, just seeking like guidance from like a pediatrician, a counselor, or a parenting support group can provide helpful strategies and resources. Again, you don't have to spank your kid. There are better ways to do this.
I mean, I'm not saying everybody has to do it. I'm just saying that, sometimes it's necessary. I mean, do you consider yourself an abused child, Amender?
In some instances, yeah.
Do you have animosity
like
towards your parents?
I have like genuine like animosity towards some people of my family because of the way they treated me when I was young.
Do you have animosity towards your parents who spanked you?
No, I love my mom and dad, but I have step parents.
Okay, then. So you're literally proving the argument. Like, some of these meta-analysis is wrong.
Well, but the only person who spanked me was my dad, and I think I recall like twice in my life where I was spanked. So it was relatively mitigated. It's not something that you that. But again, like even now, like I would think that my dad likely could have had more effective scenarios. Like I was getting in trouble for bad grades, and all I really needed was like a tutor. Like a tutor would have helped tremendously, and that's really all that needed.
No, I'm not whooping my son for getting bad. I'm not whooping him for getting bad grades. I'm not going to do that. That's not something that physical punishment is going to solve. I just feel certain behavior.
I think what happened was like I would get bad grades, and then like my dad would like take away video games. I would try to get the video games back because I really, really liked video games. Now you could see like all I do is like I love just playing video games, and I don't like being told that I can't play video games because it's like it's almost like a traumatic like have you ever seen like peculiar behaviors of like grandparents like I have my grandma who's like in her
or the grandparents that they will do things to their children, and then when it comes to the grandparents or the grandchildren, they want to baby them.
No. I was saying that I have a grandparent that had this habit of hiding candy under her pillow. She loved sweets as a kid and would hide sweets from her parents, and she just loved them so much that like up until her 90s she was hiding sweets. That's fucking nuts.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I said, for instance, my son is like he's a very, if you take away his video games and do all that stuff, I'll go to your room. Go to your room, time out. He's just gonna go to sleep. It's literally what he's gonna do. He's gonna
Yeah,
go
no,
to
no, that's
sleep.
fine. I mean, like again, like you're associating a punishment. I mean, like again, it's the association that's very important. I can't like if you just give them timeout, they may not even be associating the timeout with like the bad behavior.
Oh no, they associated with the bad behavior. It's just like I'm gonna sleep off this. I'm gonna sleep off this punishment, and so when the punishment's over, I'll be awake.
Yeah, I
And
mean,
it'll be
sure. I
all...
mean, it calms them down. Yeah, sure. I mean,
Well,
like
and so
like you think that this
also
is not effective because they're sleeping?
Well, I'm not saying it's not effective, but I'm just saying that instead of having to sit in your room and be bored and sit there and twiddle your thumbs,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? They just I'm gonna go to sleep, and
Well, I mean,
I'm-
are you like putting them in timeout for like hours?
no, it's just there's times where they just don't care. It's just like, well, fuck it. If I can't do anything, I'm just gonna go to my bed and go to sleep.
I get it. I mean, it's okay. It's how old is your
Like,
child? Can I ask?
He's 12 now. That's what I'm saying. He's at that point now where if he gets grounded, he's just gonna go to sleep.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Like,
So it's like, like I said, he's 12. I'm not gonna spank a 12-year-old. That's
no,
just insane.
that's weird.
What's weird?
It's weird.
What?
Spanking a 12-year-old is like they're too old. Like,
Well,
stop
that's what I'm saying. I'm
spanking.
not
Like,
going-
what?
That's what I'm saying. So you do agree that there is a certain age then that
No, I don't. I don't think you should be spanking ever. But yeah, I mean, like usually I notice that parents tend to spank younger because then they just like
Yeah,
associate
younger.
like the pain with the. Again, like you get the immediate compliance, but I'm saying you can get that immediate compliance without the negative side effects of spanking. I'm saying it just has a lot of side effects. It's not good.
you say has, but like I said, you said it's not always 100% guaranteed.
I
So
agree,
what-
but
are
again,
you
like
saying
if there's
children
the,
out-
I mean, we're bringing up the ride again. The ride that has an 80% chance of hurting your child. It's like why? Why are you like putting your child through that risk? It's like
What's
it's
the
like why would
percentages-
I roll the dice on that?
What's the percentages of getting into a car accident every day?
What?
I'm just asking.
I
what
mean,
is
like
the risk?
like you put your child in a car, but does that mean like you go like 80 miles an hour down a neighborhood road? Like
No, I'm saying what doesn't stop somebody from smacking you.
what?
I'm saying what percent chance does every driver on the road have of getting into an accident every day?
I mean, there's like a small percentage, yeah.
Right. But so, like, my point is here is we don't stop doing certain things just because something bad may happen. Right? If we lived our lives like that, we wouldn't do anything.
We do specifically stop doing things because bad things might happen.
I mean, like, you could get out of bed in the morning and pop an aneurysm and die. Does
Do
it
you,
mean I stay
do,
in
you-
bed
do, you-
all day?
do you smoke 12 cigarettes a day?
No, but I
Why?
mean, anything can happen
Why not?
at any time to anybody.
Why,
There's a
but
lot of
no,
freak
I'm
accidents
asking
happening all
why
the time.
not? Why don't you smoke a ton of cigarettes a day?
'Cause I don't like smoking. It's gross.
Okay. Do you like drinking alcohol?
No, I really don't. It's
Do you like
nasty.
weed?
I do, but I don't.
Okay,
smoke
why don't you
anymore
like
for a
smoke
religious
like
reason.
5 like joints a day?
I used to smoke like 6, 7 blunts a day, and I stopped for religious reasons.
You're
But-
you're understanding my point, right? Like where I'm going with this. We do lots
trying
of
to say
things
you-
to like mitigate harm. Why would it be
Right.
different here?
Because, like I said, it's not. You're raising a child, man. Like it's
I know.
it's just
That's why I'm
it's
so
not-
passionate about this.
It's not as simple, and I mean, like I feel like when you have a kid, you might understand. Like you might get to that point, like you know what, American was
I got to
right.
tell you, man, when I'm having a kid, I'm not spanking my child ever. I
Well,
will
yeah,
I will
you say-
make it my life duty to not only that, as soon as that child is born, there will immediately be an IRA with $7,000 in a really nice diversified portfolio in ETFs. So that way, by the time they're ready to go to college, there's a nice, good old fashioned college fund ready for them to go.
That's what's up. That's what's up. That's what's up.
I'll absolutely
That's
do that
good.
for my child. I will
So,
never put a child on the world unless those things are met.
so let me so I gotta go back out on the floor. It's been a while since I've been on the floor. I'm sure these production workers are where the fuck is this line supply guy at? So I just want to walk you through with how. So for instance, like when I do spank my child, or when I did, um, I would literally sit him down, explain to him, what you did wrong, yada 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 yada, and I let him know, all right, you're gonna get a spanking for this behavior now, and he would understand that. Okay, okay, Dad, I'm gonna get a spanking. I understand. And it's not like I beat the shit out of him, but he'd get a spanking, and he knew that he deserved it. He knew it was coming. It's not like I just spanked him and just walked away and left him in the room crying. No, I would talk to him first, and I would let him know, like, all right, you get.
This hurts me more than it does you, son.
Yes, and exactly, it does hurt. I don't like to do it. You feel bad after you do it.
Just saying, like, then just discipline the child without spanking. Like, I don't. Why does it? Like, you're just saying, well, I was spanked before, therefore it's probably okay, and it's like, well, I mean, no, we didn't know as much then, and now we know more now, and so we modify our behavior to like, we didn't know smoking caused cancer in the 1920s, so kids could smoke. But then, like, as time went on, we're like, oh crap, this is actually very harmful. Kids shouldn't be smoking. Right? Why is it different for spanking?
I just feel it's different, man.
Okay. I mean, it's like you're like in the 1930s and being like, well, I smoked as a kid, I'm fine.
See, that's different.
How is that different?
I don't think we'll ever agree on this, man.
Yeah,
but
I guess not.
I just feel like you shouldn't throw the like the child abuse thing around like that, because you can't like say that people are like
I pulled away the
abusing.
abuse thing, right? I said I would, and I did, and I'm saying it's harming the child. It does. It harms the child, does it not?
Right.
Yeah, I don't want harm to children. Harming children, bad. Discipline children. Verifiable ways to discipline children.
Like I said, I don't know, man. I feel like one of these days you're gonna become a parent and you're gonna be like, damn, man, American was right. He was fucking right.
You think? There's plenty of parents that would disagree with you, just so you know. In fact, parenting experts specifically disagree with you. They're parents. Not only are they parents, they're also experts of parents. Like, they know how to parent a child properly.
See, I don't feel like they've dealt with every child in the world, though.
Well, no, but I mean, like, a giant study of children is probably better than, like, I don't know, the experience of you disciplining one child.
That's what I'm saying. That's why I say it's more of an individualistic, case-by-case type of basis. Everybody's different. Just different strokes for different folks, if you know what I mean. Pause.
Yeah, some kids can smoke. Some kids shouldn't smoke. Some kids are more prone to cancer. Other kids are not as prone to cancer. So kids should be able to smoke, right?
All right.
Depends on the situation.
You're just being disingenuous.
That's not disingenuous. It's the same thing.
Yes,
I'm saying it's the same thing. It's like, okay, do all kids get cancer? The answer is no, right? That's the negative outcome of smoking.
I can understand your
right?
argument
Because smoking's fun, right? It's enjoyable. Makes you relax, right? There's kids with ADD. If they like smoked, then they would. I mean,
so I'll end it with this.
Better.
I'll just end it with this. I can understand your argument. I can understand where you're coming from, but like I said, spanking is just it's like Batman with his utility belt. Spanking is just it's the farthest reach away, because it's the thing it's there, but it's also the farthest thing away on my belt, because it's the last thing I want to have to. He gives
two batarangs, right? One batarang type is perfectly silent, and he throws it, and it goes like 100 miles an hour, and it hits its target really well. It's got like a homing mechanism or something. And the other one's got all the same stuff, but the difference is it says I'm Bruce Wayne once every 5 times.
Not sure I get that one, but
One of them has a negative outcome, right? Why would you ever use the one with a negative outcome over the one that shows to work without the negative outcome? It's like a no-brainer.
see, the thing is that I'm telling you, I'm rolling the dice here.
But I'm saying you don't have to.
I'm
Oh my
rolling.
God, never mind. I'm sorry. We're gonna just agree to disagree. We'll agree to disagree.
That's what I'm
It's
saying.
fine.
We're never going to agree on this, but I'm glad we're having this conversation cordially.
Yeah, that's good.